Okay, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order at 2:00. Let me have a roll call, please. President. Here. Nick's on Zoom. Mhm. He has never been here. We need to talk about that at another time. And I see Chief Plummer coming across the way. You don't have a quorum, so we can at least have a discussion. Okay. Sabina, we don't have a quorum, but we'd love to still hear what you have to say. Especially since the health department's here. There might be some data we can pull up, to share with what you might have to present.
Okay. You want me to just jump right in?
Sure, please do.
Okay. If I could get co-host capabilities, then I can do a quick share.
You are co-host, Sabina.
Okay. So I'm going to start with just a brief description of what HomeShare Oregon is doing. Our mission is to match folks who have rooms available in their home to people who are looking to rent rooms. And what we've discovered is that the big majority of our demographic is 55 and older folks, and disproportionately women. So 70% of our participants are female. And we're also finding that to be kind of parallel in the eviction world. 70% plus females are being evicted in different areas of Oregon. So what we do is we provide a lot of outreach, and then we have a matching site, which I have pulled up here. And so there's no homeowners in your local area currently. And so I can see that we have, over here in Tumalo and some other areas, just a couple. And so because of the crisis, they actually call it the silver tsunami of baby boomers and Gen X coming through without any retirement, without any supplemental income for, the cost of living that we're facing. Their Social Security is very limited, and they're not able to even afford rent. And after a brief discussion with Mike, I also discovered that in your local area, you really have a housing availability crisis overall. And so I thought it would be nice to just share kind of what we have going on, and have you guys just kind of resonate with what that is, and your community much better than I do. And so I think that this could be a potential resource for your area. One of the targets that we've been doing, I just started less than a year ago, so I'm still developing a lot of the program. But one of the areas that we're really looking at is two pilot projects. We're working in the urban area, so the Portland metro area, and also wanting to pilot in a rural area to kind of get the data, get the information, find out what kind of cultural differences there are, but to help secure housing for aging folks. A lot of reverse mortgages happening. There's foreclosures happening. And even when people own their house outright, taxes and maintenance are pushing them out of their homes. And so, and then on the other side, people are not able to find rentals or the rentals are way too expensive. If you have affordable housing and you're working on that and you have programs with that, I don't know your local area, but I know that around the state, there's waiting lists always. And so, home sharing can be a good opportunity to carry somebody who is waiting for other resources as they're aging, to carry them and keep them from going into their cars or shelters or on the streets. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been looking at. I did work in the Madras area for almost 6 years, so I do understand a little bit. But that was, I don't even want to say it out loud, like 20 years ago. So, don't really have a strong pulse on that right now. So this is the platform, and once somebody goes in and puts their profile up, either for looking for a room or having a room available, then it pops up and you have, this, this isn't coming up very well, but, um, there we go. So it has pictures, it shows the thing and shows like the different layout of the house. A little description. Most of them have like walkability and other resources that could really draw somebody into making the decision that that would be a good fit. Um, some of them are furnished, some of them are not. And then it just tells you kind of what some of the amenities are. And so really quickly, that's the platform that we use to engage people to see what's available on both sides. And also, I'll pause there. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, Katie.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm Katie from Public Health. So to get your profile up there, like as, hey, I have a room in my house to rent. Is there any background checks or like qualifications that are met, or is just you come to the website and put your stuff up?
You beat me to that.
Yeah, we do. We offer free background checks for both parties, and we also have a lease agreement template that we've invested quite a bit into that walks people through all of the different things that that need agreements on. And also with home sharing, because the person who owns the home lives in the home, it's not a landlord tenant situation. And so within that lease agreement, you can put in a 30-day notice to vacate. And there's less restrictions, as we've seen a lot of changes in the landlord tenant laws. So that's another benefit to home sharing is you're not locked in and there's not all of the requirements of landlord tenant. The other incentive that we offer for free is conflict resolution. So if there are any issues that come up prior to or while engaging in the home sharing, we have mediators across the state who can come in and work on agreements, additional agreements for folks. And little stuff like who gets what part of the fridge. Just the little stuff that comes up that can create big conflicts for folks. So yeah, all of our services are free, and we do offer the background checks.
Great.
Thank you, Sabina. Reason I was throwing out data is Stacy seems to be in contact with a lot of information like ranging anywhere from drug abuse to point in time contact, counts, that sort of thing. So I was just kind of curious when Sabina was talking about percentage of these folks who are women or elderly, do we have any knowledge of that in our point in time count or anything like that, of how many are aging women or that sort of thing that might fit in this demographic?
I don't know. They haven't completed the point in time count yet.
They just have.
Oh, they just
They
did.
just I saw some numbers last week.
Mhm,
But it was just broad overview, like
mhm.
45 people in Madras, 7 people in wherever. So it was very, very broad. I haven't seen the drill down information.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think with the age range that you're talking about being, you say boomers and female, if you remember back in the day, female, you know, if you can have a bank account, you couldn't do certain things back then. So it would, to me, make sense, unfortunately, that that's where we're at these days. There's no retirement, there's no this, this. That could align with how things used to be.
Mhm.
That was- That's at least, that's what came to mind when you were talking.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, our services are really prevention focused. So it's really difficult to find matches for somebody who's been, you know, chronically homeless. Just because of the trauma and the different things they experience, it's hard to place that into kind of a roommate situation. What our focus is, and we're still developing it, is looking at your aging and disabilities programs, looking at, you know, various programs that intersect, um, even at the hospital or EMS, responding to different things, uh, kind of identifying those people who are in crisis before they end up homeless to get them into home sharing as a temporary or long-term solution, before they go and experience the trauma of being on the streets. Um, it's funny, you're talking about 45 people in Jefferson County, or the city, I'm not sure. I think it's county. But uh, I do know that Mike, when I discussed that, and that a big percentage of that is from Warm Springs Reservation. So you have some particular dynamics in your community that that I'm sure can be addressed or are being addressed in various ways. And I'll talk to Mike about a shift in the way that they're funding some affordable housing that really identifies rural cities. And so I'm going to pass that along, and then Mike, you can decide what department is the best one to look at that if they're not already looking at it. So it's two things, you know, we're looking at kind of what's a community-based service that can provide housing for people before they get into the shelters or on the streets, and matching folks that are kind of a lower risk. You know, there's always risk, but you know, if you match two women who are 65 years old-ish, there's a lot less risk for predatory behavior and other things like that. So that's kind of what we're piloting and trying to figure out, how do we wrap around this, and what are the extension services that that we're engaging. So yeah, I think unfortunately, I do want to address this too. The reason we started the Wish Initiative, and I think you should have, I don't know if you have materials. Did you all get materials for that?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason we started the Wish Initiative is that one of the main reasons is that I went in and tried to research all kinds of information around gender, and it's just not there. So we have you know, a big Portland State University project that has a dashboard that's live around the evictions in the Portland, well, throughout Oregon. So all of the counties, but they did not do their count, and they're not able to get access to the gender information. And I think that's really unfortunate, especially when we know nationally what this percent total looks like, and how do we prioritize things as we're trying to provide services in our communities. So hopefully you'll be able to somehow kind of figure that out, or, you know, specifically look at programs that work directly with aging folks and kind of see what the landscape looks like for the city of Madras and your community members. If I remember correctly, Jefferson County as a whole has a fairly good sized population of retired folks. And so the key intervention point would be like, you have a woman who lost her husband, and now, you know, is there interventions, is there ways to engage home sharing as an option for her, and really reduce the cost. But the other thing that's a huge health crisis as well within our aging population is social isolation. And so we're finding lots of folks telling us, you know, how successful this has been, and that they really they wanted to try it out for 3 months, and they've been doing it for 5 years. You know, they're walking dogs together, they're cooking together, and really have that companionship, which is a huge benefit and health um, asset for people to not be completely isolated. In a smaller town, it may be a little bit different, but I do know that people are fearful of being in the house by themselves, fear, you know, of falling, fear of something happening, and nobody's there. So, yeah, that's a little bit about home share. I was gonna take 10 minutes. I'm at 15. You have a small group of people, but uh, I'll answer any questions if there's any questions that people have.
So one thing I didn't say about Sabina, her time here spent, she's worked in parole and probation and juvenile. She understands a lot of the culture we have in our community here. Even though it was a while ago, Sabina, it hasn't changed that much.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. I still have well, Facebook. The only reason I'm on Facebook is to see how the kids are doing that I worked with when I was over there. And you've got a pretty shining star down on the reservation, Laron Kachaya. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He went to, we did a film project. Mike was involved in that film project, and LaRon was in part of the project, and he went on to go to the Institute of Arts in Portland and became a film director and producer. And so he's been doing all kinds of film across the country. And he's been going to the Oscar, like to all these award shows. He was just at the Emmys over the weekend up in Seattle. And so it's pretty cool to see, you know, someone coming up and using film as a way to tell story. And he's doing a lot of tribal specific stuff. So he worked on the no, I don't remember it's the Paper Moon movie. Sorry, I'm not like I'm not into all that stuff, but he's doing really amazing things. And so um I do have a little bit of a pulse. And I also just want to say that I understand the dynamics between the res and stateside. Um, I don't think this home sharing is really going to be specific to reservations, just because they already have the cultural home sharing models in their culturally. But I also would like to assist in any way I can with the knowledge of coming out of the Portland metro area and resources that are coming up that are specific to tribal communities and also cities. And just get information out that a lot of times your smaller cities and rural communities aren't involved in, they're not reached out to. So, you know, kind of a dual thought here. Madras has a special place in my heart. We did a lot of really heavy lifting work down there. And so I just thought I'd reach out to Mike and let him know what I'm doing and share it all with, like, share it with you all, and see if there's anything that could be a potential support for the local community. I do know that I follow a lot of aging women. I'm now a part of that group, which I never thought I would be able to say, but I'm here. And you know, there's a lot of aging women living in their vans. There's communities that, you know, travel all over. You've probably had some maybe meetups over there in Culver or different areas. And and we're in, with the federal cuts, we are now approaching a crisis that we're going to see affect the whole United States, but a crisis for all of our people in need of different resources, but housing specifically is going to be a big one. And I personally have joined this cause because I think that this is a wonderful way to have a grassroots movement of community supporting community with existing inventory and reducing our footprint and also solving that social isolation health issue that's really become very prevalent. Okay, I'm done with my soapbox.
So Savina, if we were to get into something like that, how do we start?
I think we would start looking at who are who's working in the areas that we want to kind of prioritize, which goes back to your aging resources within the health department, within the medical field, within just, you know, basic resources. And we would start that conversation to see what that is. And also we want to look at some data and see if there's, you know, does this warrant putting a lot of energy into, because it may not really be much of an issue there, but at least it's on the radar. So doing a little bit of an assessment, I guess, would be the start.
Okay, so to get that, is this information we can pull from, I hate to say at the point in time, because that's like not preventive, that they're already homeless at that point. So how will we find out if we have people who are at risk of that? Is that information we get from those health resources, or?
I think that's probably APD and Best Care. I mean, Best Care has their disabilities. Their DD, what is it?
ID&D.
IDND, IDBA. They would be the ones that would have the data already.
APS?
Yeah, and,
And they don't have a chair at this table. We need to find a way to bring in.
Say that.
The community center would be good for those who actually attend that go there. There's a number of seniors that don't go there.
In this area that connects folks together for like it's like a phone conversation, and they will do meetups too. They
That's-
are to get more people to do it.
Yeah, I think that that kind of assessment of like just identifying what you have locally that engages with aging folks, and your community center would be a great place to start. And we can support all of that, and just raising awareness and providing support for people to have a better understanding. One of the areas that I've been really trying to develop is capacity building, so that we have on the ground coordinators and regions that can sit down with people or train people who are working with these folks to help our aging folks get onto the platform and put their profile up, because we have a tech barrier and some people don't even have a smartphone, and a lot of people are hesitant to get on the web and do different things. And so we provide that coordinator support. We don't have one in your area right now, but it's on the projections to be able to supply Central Oregon with a coordinator. But yeah, the first step would be kind of just one, identifying it, and then having that lens as you're engaging with folks of a potential option for people to reduce their monthly costs and increase their companionship.
Stacy, can you connect me with the Council on Aging?
Yeah, there's someone who was working on trying to find funding to expand their I can't think what the program's called, but their connection program where they match. It's kind of like what you're talking about, but to meet the needs of isolation through like friendship and like phone calls, and then eventually it would lead into meeting up and all that stuff. But to be able to tag on to that would be really helpful.
Savina, if you can provide me with the information that I can share with them,
Yeah,
then when we have this conversation with that council, then maybe we could start planning forward.
I love that because it's just an additional resource that they may be able to utilize. And so, yeah, that's great. And I'm glad to hear that you have people connecting people.
Does that sound good, everybody? I mean, we can't take a vote, but because it sounds like it's a good idea. Katie, you have any thoughts?
No, I guess, are you wanting to recruit more heavily for the WISH program or just home share in general?
I think we want to drop the information so people are aware of home share in general, but our priorities with our coordinator work and our legislative work and all of the different things that we're doing is to prioritize women 55 and older. And the first part of the reason I launched the initiative is one, we need data and we need people to be counting gender because it is extremely important to identify how we prioritize all of our resources. So yeah, I would say an overall awareness drop of Home Share Oregon. And then more specifically, direct work at the local level would be prioritizing women, but also serving men as well. It's just a way to raise our consciousness of what this crisis that's coming down really looks like.
Nick, do you have any thoughts? Oh, okay. Jessica, do you have any thoughts?
No, I think this is great. I'll definitely look more into it and maybe get something that we can hand out to people.
Okay, Will?
No, I like the idea, and I do know that we do have an aging population here in Madras. You just head over to Eagle Bakery on a Friday or Saturday, and they're there because they're looking for companionship. So I think this could, work.
Chief?
Is that where you go, Will?
Some days.
I said, me too. Yes, thank you. Got nothing.
Okay. I think we have a game plan, Sabina. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for allowing me to share this. And I also love the idea of supporting a small community like Madras and Jefferson County because of what you just said about where people gather and where they go, and it's a bakery. And that's what's very unique and different about a smaller community is that you can really pinpoint these things and have outreach that really is very diverse. So you made my day. I wanted to hear that. I hope you all have a great day and thank you for sharing. Mike, I'll connect with you and then get you additional materials and links and things like that that you can talk about with different folks.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. You all take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Council on Aging, I just looked up, their program is called Senior Isolation Program Expansion and Caring Connections.
Okay.
So that's that program that they have.
If you can share some contact information so I can get connected with somebody,
Yeah.
that'd be cool. All right. Next on the agenda is planning for warmer weather, extended cooling center hours for unhoused community members.
That was my ad. So Katie, for your benefit, last year, Public Health reached out to the city and said, could you provide this facility or this room as a cooling center when things get hot for a lot of the folks that are out there? But that was before Truitt's was on board and before he talked about expanding his hours a bit. I mean, sorry, he's not here to be able to ask that question, but I'll follow up with him. So
Arkansas, Jean isn't able to be here, so she called me a little bit ago and was getting my hair done, says, can you go to a meeting? And I said, sure.
So do you know if the shelter's gonna put up some extended hours with respect to the weather when it gets really hot? Okay,
We'll make sure we turn them out a bunch if they want to go. Showers, we really expanded our services.
Okay.
So we make sure that they're well hydrated, make sure that they're not at risk when they leave us. And so they have more of a come and go during the day because they can take a shower and bring them on and. So. For them, so we've got a lot of stabilization, you know, culture as the people. We've had an amazing number of graduates. Special things, is we have 2 people on our staff. Now that work for us. That's fair, that's just recently in the last few months that we're very excited, they're living stable lives, got homes. So that's our ultimate goal.
So in the past, I thought Truett was saying that at some point you guys were gonna switch from going, you know, closing at 1 PM to closing at 7 AM and then reopening at 1 PM. Have you guys made that switch yet, or are you planning on doing that?
Well, we're kind of in transition still, and I'm not sure, I know that today. They can meet until 4 o'clock today, and I don't know exactly what. The criteria will be on that, we're kind of gonna transition, so I can't give you an exact answer on that. He is in Arkansas, and so had an unexpected trip. So anyhow, if the next time here, we share with them the next time. So what I have done, you know, I'm the founder and the first director of that. I have relegated myself to on the ground, working with coordination. It's just a huge deal. Like I just ordered $600 with groceries. And that's my real house. I'm a caterer and event planner by trade. So I have just very strategically, I handed over things to other people that are really good at what they do. You know, like Jean is fabulous with admin, you know, and I'm like, excuse me, can we just go have coffee? So.
okay,
The burn center's gonna be open too, right?
yeah, it's supposed to be from 7 AM to 11 PM. But I've heard that those hours aren't consistent. That they're not always open at 7.
Again, I think it's pretty weather dependent. If it's extremely hot, for instance, we will always have it open.
Right. But will you let us know if it turns out you have a challenge with that? And that you
Yeah,
need
we
some
were
space?
talking about that this morning. We had a meeting with Sergeant Schedule and some of the emergency management supporters and preparedness supporters. And they have deployed some different air scrubbers around the city or the county. And we have 2 more that we're looking to get. We would like to bring one here if you would be interested in that.
Is that for smoke or something?
Yeah, those air scrubbers are for smoke. So having those available. Just for cleaner air. And
Yeah,
then,
we'd be glad, we'd be glad to open up this room if it turns out that you have capacity.
okay. Yeah, that would be good. We have been, we did some pre-planning with Burn Center and the shelter kind of in the winter, but we haven't been able to like solidify those here now kind of since then, so. But yeah, we would like to keep you on the list.
Sure.
I know in the past we've had, you've had this open and I know most of our cooling centers are not well utilized. But we do want to have them available so that if people are interested, they could use them. So,
Okay,
thank you.
well, just let them know that Bethany is a great checkers player and so she somebody to take on.
Okay.
All right.
I don't rate that down.
Best Care is not here today, so we'll move on to code enforcement update. Chief?
Let's see, small encampments. I'm not sure which ones, I'm supposed to address.
It says ongoing efforts to remove graffiti and, address the small encampment. So Eric's been very diligent with the graffiti.
Right, like, most of it that's out there has been abated with the exception, I drove around yesterday. Stuff on the utility boxes and we don't do graffiti abatement on utility boxes for reasons. And, we've been working closely with parole and probation and they've been out doing a really good job of doing it. We have to get special paint to do under the bridges, so it's environmentally safe. But, most of it's, been done. So that's one of the things we're also moving, the only encampments that we've been concerned about, the ones behind, the grocery outlet. People are moving, have been moved, but that's it's not a one and done, it's an ongoing daily. Some people out from underneath the Willow Creek Bridge and did some fortification so that we encourage them not to move back under their public works, so. Those are the biggest main project. We had some people at the 9th Street Bridge this morning and there haven't been any new encampments started in under there as well. Anticipated increase in visible camping activities. I haven't heard that's the case. It's gonna be warmer weather. People are gonna be moving around. I don't think there's gonna be any more really anticipated more than there already has been. There's a lot of moving around, so the code enforcement officer keep them moving so that they don't become encamped. Trying to encourage them to go to the shelter, to the burn center. And then, management of personal belongings left in front of the shelter. I'm not hearing that there's personal belongings being left in front of the shelter, are there?
Yeah, right by where that standpipe is for the fire department,
If that's the property of the shelter, what are you guys doing with it?
It's one of the reasons why I'm really delighted to be here, because if you look up behind, the shelter, you know, where the old road stops up there. There's a place up there and they had their stuff there and they were moved out of there. They couldn't be there anymore. But so instead they're like crows on a wire sitting down front of the street across, you know, from the drive-in down there. I would like to I have one picnic table I've got from the veterans already and I'd like to put another one up there because they have no place to sit. And you can't expect them to be any place. That's why they're down there, because they can sit. They got that wall they can sit on. And so I would like to, I've already talked to Madras Sanitary, to the owner of that, about making sure that we have trash cans there. And so they're very close to us. You know, we're the ones that take care of, they can come and go during the day from the shelter. And we are often open to like 4 o'clock. And the hottest part, we are always going to take care of. We've expanded that so much. And so I would really like to, and I know that it's your property, and I'd like to have your permission to at least just move them back. It's closer to our shelter and at the top of the hill there. I cannot guarantee that they'll stay there at that end of that road. But what I am hoping is that they will have their place, so they're not down there where we're talking about. Because that doesn't make us look good either, to be honest, you know, because they've got the trash out there. And so I have somebody that's willing to help gather that stuff up. And we would be very happy to be proactive, because I'm with you. In that it's kind of a disgrace to our city to have somebody that comes and goes with drive-in, you know, there to get something to eat, with the first thing they see are what I call the crows on the wire. So.
Where would you want to put that picnic table?
Up above our property, the end of the road, the other direction,
Oh.
west. Which is where you used to have the big white, you know, box that you had up there with the individual containers in it. Because they sit up there anyway. There's a rock up there and there's things they can sit on. But, you know,
Is
and
it
I don't
that
think.
fast with the road supposed to be?
Maybe beach. Yes.
All I would like to do is to have a comfortable place for them to sit. You know, so that they actually have an option.
Sitting on, is that the one below the tree?
Yeah. It's down right across the entrance into.
It's like by the stop sign.
I was just thinking, like, is it a shaded area or?
No, not really. There, we have some trees that are growing up that would get a little bit more shade out and eventually they will be.
It's kind of down the embankment, so when after the afternoon, the sun's creeping on the other side of the shelter, so they're down the embankment from the shelter sitting on that wall.
And that's where Truett sent me a photo of all their stuff piled up there, asking for help to do that, so. I imagine that's changed if you folks haven't seen.
Well,
it.
a lot of stuff is just gone. They don't have a lot of that stuff anymore. They've had to get rid of it because it's not like they have a place to go with it, in other words, because they would be done. And inside they have a locker, they have their stuff in the locker, but they can't bring like firearms or anything like that inside. They can put their coat or whatever they want to inside, but when they go out, then they take that with them. But most of them don't have much stuff anymore. They put their backpacks in the locker, that kind of thing. We always make sure so everything is private when they do come in. Their stuff is locked in their own locker. So, like I said, we've greatly expanded what we do, but they really want to be outside. Honestly, they'll sit and watch. It's really funny. You have a big screen TV and you watching cartoons and stuff on there. And here are the road warriors, the fearful people of Jefferson County sitting there laughing at cartoons. It's really kind of delightful to my heart, you know, to see that. And but it's not a permanent solution for us. So, and I don't expect, you guys to answer. Just think about, would you rather have them down there in the front where it's the first thing people see coming in, or should we just move them a half a block away to where they often are anyway? It's where we can see them. Right at the top of that road there.
I don't mind a picnic table or something. I don't want it to become a camping site or.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't become a camping site, we're okay with the picnic table.
And I'll say that again.
As long as they're not gonna use that as a new camping site, we're okay with them using the picnic table there.
Okay. I may be able to get a second one, which would be good because they have more people would go around one. Vets are very willing to help me with that, so. Yeah. I don't see that it's gonna change anything environmentally except down in front. We can get that, guy to get all of that stuff out of, and contain it. And so it won't look like that anymore.
Anybody have gone out and asked them why they don't go to the Burn Center?
Well, some of them do. There's some of them that don't, but a lot of them do. There's a lot more people, in our area that are homeless than even come into the shelter. They don't all come in at all, so, but they do go during the day to the Burn Center. Especially the women. So I'm delighted to have her. I was quite tickled when they said they were gonna do that, because it does give them an option. So, and sometimes, there's certain negative activities that they like to do, they can't do in the Burn Center any more than they can in, the shelter.
My concern would be is who will be responsible for policing the area up, because it's just been my experience that you give them a designated spot to be, and you give them permission to be there. They will soon start to accumulate more than what they have on day one
They'll start nesting.
and day two and day three, and soon you'll have a lot of stuff there. So who is gonna be responsible for seeing that what they bring today doesn't stay there? And then suddenly they bring and they add to it tomorrow, and then they add to it again, and soon you don't have one bag, but you have five.
That's just the reality of life. We can't tell them.
Well, I know, but the question is gonna be is who's gonna manage that, because it's gonna get bigger. I can see that. I
Well,
just,
if it's at the back of our property there, we'll try to make sure that, like I say, having trash cans helps,
I just to know, and I don't think you're naive enough to know that that won't happen. I just,
That's kind of the concern we have. We're talking about, it's okay to have like a table, but we don't want to put the camp there, especially if this becomes out of sight, out of mind. Who's gonna check or see it?
Well, they're
Yeah,
not excited.
That was our Willow Creek problem.
Right.
Every time we drive in and out of there, right there, or they wave at me every time I drive in and out, so. They're very visible up there, much more so than to go down the hill. The one thing I would stipulate is you don't go down the hill and camp. You don't camp there. But it's mostly a social place where they gather.
So do you think if for example, you said, hey, we're gonna get a couple picnic tables, we're gonna pilot something. However, if it gets out of hand, we're gonna take away those picnic tables, and then if this is a social thing, make this a social, where they socially police themselves.
Yeah.
Because the majority doesn't want to lose that, so coming right off the bat, say, we're gonna pilot this. And if by the end of 90 days, whatever,
If it becomes a
things-
dump,
yep, then we're gonna take them away, and then that way they go right off the bat, like. This is the expectation, this is what the consequences. You like this area,
and that's exactly.
and the social control. Hopefully, I mean, it's,
Well, it's an idea of something we haven't really done. And my big thing is that is it gets them out of the view of the city.
Yeah, and see what you're trying to accomplish, to slow down, and don't want to move the problem from one place to another, creating another problem.
Well, they're already on the property anyway, whether in front of it or the back of it. And
We'll give it a shot.
Yeah, let's do it for 90 days, and then if you agree, let us know, do it for 90 days, and then let us know how it turns out.
thank you.
Hmm.
Our goal is always to make it more social and more socially acceptable. Honestly, from where we were a year or 2 years ago, we've really seen like some progress. You know, like I say, many of them are working, some of them are back home. You know, they're sober much more than what they used to be. So progress is good. We are not 100% the solution on the Godless, but we do our best, and we love the people. We love the people. One of the things, my thing, is a very personal level here, is the women, and some of those women are really tough. But there's a lot of heartbreak. What to do. And one of the things I can do is when they're upset, I just take them aside and just hold them in, and they'll talk to me a little bit, and they just cry. That's the one thing I've. And that may sound a little maudlin to you, but the fact of the matter is, it's very necessary. Everybody needs a safe place, even if it's just a person for 10 minutes, you know, and so. Anyway, I'm tough. I just have to tell you, I'm not really, hear me talk all this warm fuzzy stuff, but when it comes to rules, you know, and doing things within that they're supposed to, they will do what I ask them to. Because we have trespassed many of them, and there are those that in a month can come back, 3 months, but there are those that will never come back. So, I mean, when we say, well, we mean what we say. And so we've seen a lot of social change in an intimate way. You know, we're dealing with them on a daily basis. And some of them that were really a problem initially just really aren't. And one thing that I will say is they will police each other if they care. And that's the best case scenario, when they stop each other and say, no, you know, we can't do that, or we need to leave if we're gonna do this. It's been an interesting journey in the last 7 years. To see that, we love having the shelter instead of going from place to place.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool. The garage with porta potties wasn't bad, but Dallas still even offered to buy me my own porta potties. That's one of, I said, this was the best offers I ever had from Ben.
Yes.
Anyway. Be professional.
Alright.
But it's our life.
Is there anything else?
No, sir.
I have something, that's okay.
Sure.
There is a presentation by a guy who opened up a large housing unit kind of spectrum for low income housing. Everything from like, I think it originally started with like people in tents and some RV spaces to permanent housing, permanent supportive housing. It's a group from Austin. They're coming here to Redmond on June 30th to give a presentation 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So if you're interested in going to see this presentation, I can get you more information.
When is that?
June 30th, which is a Monday, I believe. Right there, Monday, June 30th. It's just a model that has been very successful in Austin. And there's people in Central Oregon who are interested in following and kind of trying something like that. There might be some ideas for solutions for Madras if
Can you forward me that information?
I can, yes.
And I'll share it with Will.
So anyways, if you're interested, Mountain View Community Development is putting it on.
Okay.
And so. Trying to get you some information.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, well, let's adjourn at 2:50. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'm gonna think I threw you under the bus as the data queen.
Huh?
Hope you didn't think I threw you under the bus as the data